Dear students, my name is Alnerine Greef, and I'm happy to act as coordinating lecturer for Assignment 3 of COM4808. This assignment deals with one of my personal favorite fields of organizational communication, the field of public relations. Now, much has been said about public relations and its place within the new millennium. If you follow PR firms on social media, you will see that they continually try to stake their claim within the contemporary business environment. This assignment touches on some of this. It's about traditional and online public relations, and we specifically look at it in context in terms of its theories and functions. Good, let's get started by looking at the instructions for this assignment so that we can get an idea of what is expected. As you will see, there are 7 things that we need to make sure we cover in this assignment. Firstly, you need to discuss the nature of public relations and present a recent definition. Now, very importantly, you will need to indicate why you selected this specific definition and also how this definition complies with the most recent trends in public relations. It's actually a convention or a rule of thumb in academia to always motivate your choice of a definition, literature, or theory. In this assignment, you will be doing a lot of that. Secondly, you have to critically discuss 2 seminal and 1 recent theory of public relations. This means that there should be 3 theories in your assignment that you discuss. 2 are seminal and 1 is recent. Okay, so let's just get sidetracked here for a moment. What is a seminal theory? Well, seminal sources and seminal literature or theories tend to be the major theories and studies in the field that relate to a specific topic. In our case, this topic is public relations. Seminal authors are the researchers, thinkers, or scholars that everyone discusses, whether or not current research actually agrees with their findings. They are often the instigators that opened up avenues for study within a specific topic. Now, these authors' theories would thus be those that we based our current understandings of the field on. We will discuss this a little later on, but for now, just take note of this definition. Thirdly, in this assignment, you have to describe at least 5 functions of public relations within an organizational context. Next, we move on to public relations, and as was the case with the traditional public relations, you have to explain its nature, offering a current definition. Very importantly in this case, you have to tell us whether or not you agree with this definition, giving valid reasons for your arguments. In academia, a reason can never be valid if it's not informed by literature. So, you will have to make an argument that supports your reasoning. This argument has to be informed by different sources. Once you have done this, you will need to provide valid reasons for the integration of online and traditional public relation tactics. Here, you will need to remember what I said about reasons. In academia, there really are only valid reasons when they are supported properly from literature. So ask yourself, why is it important to integrate traditional and online PR? Here, you will answer that question. Just so, making use of sound sources, you will then have to critically discuss the role of public relations in creating and communicating industry-specific content as a way of positioning organizations as industry thought leaders. And then lastly, you need to make use of 2 case studies as examples. One should be of an organization that, in your opinion, unsuccessfully applies public relations within the online sphere, and the other an organization that does it successfully and thereby positioning themselves as industry thought leader. What is very clear here is that although this assignment asks you to unpack various theoretical aspects, you will not be able to answer the assignment criteria if you are not able to apply the theory that you obtain in literature. Merely rewriting what you find in literature is insufficient at honors level in any case, as we expect students to read widely and then integrate their various sources along with a discussion wherein their own interpretations of the subject matter becomes evident. This shows that a student has a deep understanding as well as insight into the topic, as is expected of them at honours level study. It is also only when you start interpreting the literature that you are able to answer the question posed in the assignment directly, rather than just presenting pieces of information relating to it. Okay, let's have a look at all of these aspects in a little bit more depth now. Firstly, you will have to discuss the nature of traditional public relations and offer a comprehensive definition. Now, when you discuss the nature of public relations, no matter what definition you use, you will have to point out some of the characteristics and features of public relations. Be as exhaustive as possible. Public relations can be explained as the management of the perceptions and strategic relationships between an organization and its internal and external stakeholders. Public relations can be described as dynamic in that the process is one of continuous and constant changes and adjustments in order to maintain old relationships and also build new ones. Also, public relations is analytical because there is a need to determine and analyze situations and factors that affect an organization. Planning is also another characteristic of public relations, which ensures that the goals and priorities are set according to the situation and factors affecting the discipline and organization as a whole. You will be credited in your assignment when you provide a clear and applicable discussion on the nature of public relations. Then you have to move on to discuss the various theories of public relations. Now, there are a myriad of theories that you can make use of. Remember that these have to be seminal and recent. 2 seminal, 1 recent. Some of these that you can actually make use of include the Grunig and Hunt models. Now, these are actually great to discuss the progression that PR has undertaken since its inception. It can also include the process approach, the system theory, relationship management theory, the stakeholder theory, values-driven approach, the excellence theory, chaos theory, uses and gratifications theory, social learning theory, situational theory, agenda setting and social exchange theory, and any other that are applicable. It really is completely up to you. Now, how will you find these theories, you ask? Well, the answer is by reading. Right at the beginning of the year, I made a video that shows you how to use Google Scholar and the UNISA library to locate academic sources. In that video, I even talk about how you would go about identifying seminal sources. If you've not yet done so, have a look at that video. Dr. Hanekom made an announcement about it on my UNISA. The link to the video can thus be found on the announcement tab of the COM4808 site. Now that we're talking about sources, I also want to talk a little bit about academic and non-academic sources. Academic sources are those sources which are written based on sound research and insight. They are thus trustworthy. Examples are textbooks and academic articles. These kinds of sources are sources that you will make use of to explain all theoretical aspects in this assignment. You will need to draw from these for your discussions on definitions, theories, functions, etc. The video that I'm talking about will show you how to access these academic sources. Now, usually that's where the story ends, because we usually do not want students to make use of non-academic sources. Non-academic sources are written by people with little or no discernible authority on the subject that they are writing on. These sources are usually not based on sound empirical research and are untrustworthy for the purposes of an academic assignment. Examples of this kind of source is many, most, or some web pages. In this assignment for COM4808, you will have one exception to this rule. You see, you will make use of academic sources for the discussion on theory, but when it comes to case studies, you will need to make use of websites, such as company websites, to source and reference your discussions. So, the video that I'm talking about will help you with academic sources. You will need to do another normal search on the internet to find suitable case studies for your assignment. Making use of these case studies, you will showcase your understanding of theory. The sections of your assignment that discuss the case studies will thus have academic and non-academic sources referenced. Okay, back to the focus of the assignment. Your discussions on the theories of public relations will enable you to move on to discuss specifically the various functions of public relations. In this discussion, you will have to unpack the various, but at least 5 functions. Such functions might include communication, interpretation, communication management, research, strategic planning, publicity planning, advising, promotion, media relations and placement, writing, editing, and the like. Any combination is possible, but remember to back up your discussions with references and motivate all of your choices. Once done, you are ready to discuss the nature of online public relations. Now, for this discussion, it is important that you explain the characteristics of online public relations and also provide a definition of it. This definition has to be comprehensive. Then you can show off your understanding of both traditional and online public relations by discussing the integration of online and public relation tactics in the traditional public relations campaign. When you go into industry, this will be a very practical consideration that you will have to employ. When writing up this part of your assignment, you should explain the concept of integration in the context of traditional and online public relations. Your explanation should also reflect examples and valid reasons why there is a need for integration of traditional and online PR. The last 2 aspects of your assignment is very heavily, even more so than the ones before, reliant on interpretation. You will really need to understand the theory that you have engaged with in the module thus far in order to answer it. You will have to discuss public relations and thought leadership by making use of 2 case studies. First, you will have to explain the concept of thought leadership and how public relations is playing a part in positioning organizations as thought leaders by producing and communicating industry-specific information. It can be argued that public relations has also become relevant in creating and communicating compelling and valuable industry-specific content that seeks to position organizations as thought leaders themselves. Thought leaders are considered to be trusted voices and informed opinion leaders whose expertise and views are highly regarded in industry. Public relations help create and share industry-specific content, mainly through social media platforms, to ensure that an organization and its individual employees are regarded as thought leaders. When you research thought leadership, both via academic and non-academic searches, you will see that there are ample examples for you to draw on. You will have to decide on 2 case studies. Both need to be of organizations, but one should be an example or a case that successfully applies public relations within the online sphere, thereby positioning themselves as industry thought leaders. The other should be one that does not do it successfully, in your opinion. Now, in some ways, it will be easier to find those that are successful than those that are not. If you start early in researching your organizations, you'll find them, don't worry. It will take a lot of legwork, so start early. Once you have your 2 organizations, you will need to apply the theory that you have to them, and you will need to use this theory to motivate your opinions as to why the one is successful and the other not. That's very important. Please don't forget that. So, as you can see, there are various things that all need to work together in this assignment. A very important point that you need to heed is cohesion in your writing. Remember, you have to forward a coherent and meaningful, not to mention academic, line of argumentation in your assignment. And you cannot do that if your writing itself is not coherent. The discussion of elements or aspects need to logically flow over to the discussion of a next. Very importantly, you need to make sure that different headings and sections in your assignment are linked to one another, and that it is clear how all of these headings and sections contribute to the argument line followed in your assignment. The different sections that you can see here should not function independently from one another, but should be part of the bigger discussion that answers the aspects put to you in this assignment theme. We wish you all the best with this assignment and invite you once again to contact us if you have any specific questions. Happy reading and happy writing.